I remember reading it and skimming it, kind of like, I don't understand any of this. But then picking it back up a couple of years later. And as you go through phases in your life, if you read this book, even if it's just 2 or 3 of the segments of the book, it's really powerful.
We're going to talk about one of my favorite topics today because I love to read, and I know you love to read. And it's probably the number one question we get from coaching clients is, what are our favorite books to read?
Yep.
Or when we're talking about a topic, it's always, hey, what kind of resources can I read? So I thought we'd at least provide our favorites, and maybe we'll provide a couple more that we would highly recommend that our listeners read.
Yep.
I'll start it off. My number one book, I would say, well, gosh, I have so many number ones. But anyway, I will...
put them in categories.
I will actually, I am going to say Emotional Intelligence 2.0 by Travis Bradberry.
Oh, really?
This is the book I give to every coaching client, and I have them do the assessment. And for those of you who don't truly understand what emotional intelligence is, this is such an easy read, and it breaks down emotional intelligence in 4 easy compartments. 2 are on the self side, so self-awareness and self-management, and 2 are on your surroundings, which is social awareness, so awareness of others around you and how they respond to you, and relationship management. It not only helps very simply explain, but it also gives you an assessment so you can assess yourself. And then it gives you ideas on how to improve your emotional intelligence. So why is this very important? Well, emotional intelligence has been rated as the number one skill set that impacts your ability to be a great leader. People with great emotional intelligence are great leaders. People with poor emotional intelligence are poor leaders. There is a very distinct commonality between emotional intelligence and your ability to lead people. So the book's also it's a bathroom read. It's very short. And Travis Bradberry just writes in such a way that we can all understand what this EQ thing really even is and what it means and why it's impactful for all of us. But even if you didn't want to just, be the CEO of the next company, having emotional intelligence, I've had so many people tell me, it's benefited my personal life. It's benefited my relationships there as well. So, just being more aware of yourself and more aware of others is just such a unique skill. And just like anything, you can grow that skill. You can improve that skill. You can mature that skill. And this book, it gives you very hard-coded tactics.
Probably not something a lot of people think about.
No.
At all.
No. And when we have coaches and they use our leadership playbook, which is our proprietary 6-step system, and emotional intelligence comes on the front end of that, and we want them to read the book and score it, they're like, okay, why? Yeah. What am I doing? Over the course of time, we help them understand the value. So that's probably my favorite book.
Do you think the teams, people like, so that book for a leader, do you think the people on the team would benefit from that book as well?
Oh, 100%, right?
Yeah.
The one thing I think is great for the leader, though, is really get a good understanding of emotional intelligence first.
Yep.
Kind of get down the runway a little bit before you give it to your team, or you can give it to them at the same time if you'd like. There's no harm in doing that. But if you get down the runway, you should always lead in knowing how to, manage yourself as well as manage the room. So once you can show that, they can mirror that better.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people lack that understanding.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I'd say, when I was in college, my grandfather gave me a book, and it's still one of the classics, The Power of Positive Thinking, Norman Vincent Peale.
So shocking.
Yeah.
You are definitely that.
But it was one of those things where it's formative years where, in fact, I remember reading it and skimming it, kind of like, I don't understand any of this. But then picking it back up a couple of years later. And as you go through phases in your life, if you read this book, even if it's just 2 or 3 of the segments of the book, it's really powerful. And basically what it does is you can turn any negative into a positive. And the more that you emote positive feelings on a genuine level, meaning you believe it in your heart and your soul and your gut, it just has a way of being authentic versus, you can tell when somebody's like, really not buying this.
Yeah.
And so then the interesting thing to me is over my career, as I've met other people that are that way, you kind of connect versus repel, where two positives kind of, it's more like, oh, we see things eye to eye. And we might challenge each other in certain ways, like you would challenge me all the time. But it's like we have that, the chemistry and the understanding and the knowledge. And when you emote that positive nature about things, I just think good things happen versus bad things.
Yeah, for sure. I think we both underlying are always excited to work with our clients, work with each other. And so that positivity of, we love this, we know we're going to get through this,
right.
We know great things are going to happen, great things will happen for our clients. Like you've been absolutely, I can totally tell, you seem like the epitome of the power of positive thinking.
It's impacted me a lot.
So there are a lot of negative thinkers out there, and you're such a positive thinker. So I know you run into these folks all the time.
Right.
What do you do? There's a point where you could sound a little condescending, right?
I'm very condescending.
How do you know? No, not you. You and well, I hope this makes it to the podcast. Not you or you in general, but like, how do you go about changing that negative thinking without making them feel like, okay, I heard you, and I hear what you're saying, but transitioning appropriately.
I've tried to use humor to shift.
Oh, that's a good one.
Negative environments, because I think if I'm feeling it, everyone else is kind of feeling it or really feeling it. And so if you have the ability to use the timing of humor, well-placed, well-timed, you can change the dynamic, whether it's one-on-one or 1-on-10 type of meeting. It's just, let's use humor to change that. What's closed, Jennifer, is the excuse department. Okay. So let's forget,
I love that.
Let's forget that.
Yes.
And let's attack this thing. And, if that, generates some kind of positive remark or people laugh a little bit, then you have an opening.
Yes.
Then you're like, okay, so I hear you how we can't do these things, or this isn't going to work. And we know the excuse department's closed, so let's figure out a way. And let's all come up with one right now. Genuinely, that works. Yeah.
Another thing I've heard you do is ask a question instead of making a statement to change the mood. Ask a question that might be an ability to take a U-turn and get into the land of positivity.
So we all know why this won't work, and we've got brackets around why it won't work.
And that's good.
Does anybody think that this can work? And so how would you do that?
Right.
And anybody who points out a negative has to always have a positive.
Right.
This isn't going to work because, all right, so let's flip that now. If you remember in Seinfeld, they had Bizarro World where everything was just kind of, okay, let's do the Bizarro World of what you just said, and genuinely that gets people to kind of go, well, here's some things to do. All right, how would you, versus me giving the answer. Well, here's how I would do it. That doesn't ever solve anything, I don't think. At the end of the day, somebody has to be the leader and decide. But if you get some sort of momentum and rhythm and consensus around it, it works. Yeah.
Okay.
In a positive way. Yeah.
So I don't think I've ever told you this story.
Oh, no.
This is, you always make me think of stories because you're such a good storyteller yourself. But I'll give you the next book through a story. So it was before I even met you.
Okay.
I was working at ITI Telemarketing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. And I had gotten this gig and I was the youngest account manager, and they threw a bunch of crappy accounts at me, and I turned them all around. Basically, I spent hours trying to figure out how to turn these businesses around. It was back in the days of outbound telemarketing, but I did it through not such a wise approach, going back to that emotional intelligence. Didn't have a lot of that. And I didn't have any friends in the end. Let's say that.
Really?
So my boss pulls me into the room and says, listen, I like the results. Trust me, I love the results. You're holding on to businesses no one else has been able to hold on to. And the clients love you, but no one in this building loves you. He said, listen, you read this book or you're fired. And it was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so you probably, I don't know if you remember, this book is huge, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give some recommendations for those of you who don't really love huge books.
No.
But if you like a big book and you can break it down habit by habit, that's great too. Really, really instrumental in how to go from being a young career person in your 20s, not really knowing anything, because what are we taught in college or high school or anything, right? What are we really taught about managing people or being highly effective?
Yep.
Basically nothing. So I read this book in 2 nights. I stayed up back then. I guess I just could.
Yeah.
So I was up till 1 or 2 in the morning reading it for like 4, 5, 6 hours. I loved this book so much. It taught me so much. Turned myself around within a day. Obviously, I had to rebuild relationships, but I was a different person, like immediately on habit 1.
You felt it, you saw it, you noticed
yes.
it. Yeah.
And one of our favorites is keep the end in mind. I love keep the end in mind. It's kind of the same thing that we talked about in another podcast of thinking big, right?
Yep.
Go way out there. What are you trying to achieve? And then come back and start thinking about. So keep the end in mind. Other ones are, how do you put the pebbles and the rocks in the glass? If you put the sand and the water in first, there's no room for the big rocks. And that's the focus we've talked about quite a few times. You put the big rocks in first. You focus on the big high impact items first. And then the sand and the water can come in at the same time because they actually do all fit in the jar. And so those are just little teasers. I've also seen a podcaster, by the way, break this down habit by habit for each podcast episode.
Really?
I've listened to those. So if you're a podcast listener, we can break down the habit
if we can
and
link
listen
that
to
in
that.
The notes, maybe.
Yep, we can link that in the notes. But also I recommend reading the book. It is a game changer, especially for I find young founders out there. They had a great product idea. We've talked about this a lot. Great product idea. Shopify kind of lets you set up like a storefront quite easily. But once you hit a certain mark, you got to start hiring people. Managing others, I've seen be kind of disastrous for some of these younger founders.
So true. So true.
So this is an excellent book that can really help you with the basics of how to be a great people manager.
Yeah. So look inward. Examine strengths and weaknesses, pick up the things that are probably not great.
Yeah.
And examine those, fix them. And then it's something you can apply every single day.
Yep.
I love that. That's good advice. I should pick that one back up. Yeah, speaking of stories, okay. Nothing happens in business until you sell something, right? I was in the popcorn business a long time ago, and I had to learn to sell. This was when I had to wholesale popcorn to grocery stores. If you've ever sold anything to a grocer, it is really tough because each grocery store typically has a buyer for each department. So health and beauty, snack foods, the meats, what have you. You deal with a different buyer normally in every single store. And so you had to go in at the time and find this person. And I was selling a snack food. And I just figured, well, here I am. Here's my product, which was a really great product. It was, ready to eat popcorn. And none of these grocers could have cared less about what my message was, who I was, what the product was. Half of them would say, do you see these shelves? I mean, do you think there's any room for a ready to eat popcorn? Thanks, get out. literally one guy just like, get out, just leave. I don't have time for this. All right. I needed to figure out how to sell. I didn't have the foggiest notion. And a book I would really recommend it's called The Little Red Book of Selling. It's 12 and a half principles of sales greatness. It's a small book, but it's a very powerful book. And anybody I've ever given it to who's truly read it and tried to apply it to what they do, and this is selling software, selling a product, selling an intangible like insurance, anything. This book really breaks it down, I think, in easily digestible pieces that make you a better salesperson. Finding your voice, finding the messaging, getting to the point, and getting out of there kind of a stuff. And to me, it's a very powerful, almost a how-to, both on your business, but also on how you approach things in your life too. Whether you're at the airline counter and they say, hey, your flight's delayed, you're out of luck. You think through some of these principles here and you start to realize, I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
I really have enjoyed, I pick it up probably every 2 or 3 years. I must have given 100 of these away over the years. Jeffrey Gitmer, I think that's how you pronounce it, is his last name.
Wow. Every founder, I don't care what you're selling, you need to be a good salesperson. Yeah. Or when you have a partnership, like you're a great salesperson. I don't think I'm a strong salesperson. I'm a strong marketer, but I'm not a strong salesperson. People think that's the same thing, but it's actually not. You're a very strong salesperson. And now that I know your trick, I'm going to go get that book. So highly, it's a good book. I know Mark and he's a great salesperson. So go get that book for sure. It's
the empathetic selling. And it is funny, by the way, if you look on Amazon, which I'm sure a lot of you have purchased books from Amazon, you can look at your purchase history. And the very first purchase I made on Amazon in 1997 was a book called How the Internet Works.
I wonder how relevant it is today.
I don't know. I wish I still had it. Because at the time we were like, it's kind of like AI today. It's like, boy, I know it's powerful and I know it's meaningful and I know it's going to be extremely relevant to all of us in our lives. I don't know how it works. It's like remember when the web was something, it was like, what is this thing? You'd ask people and they'd go,
I think we called it the World Wide Web.
The World Wide Web. Everything was www.
Yes.
Dot,
HTTP :
Yeah. Yeah. Right? Anyway, I just thought that was interesting when we said we were going to talk about books, that was the very first book I
That's
bought
so
on Amazon.
fun.
Yeah.
I would love to see if that's available and how what's relevant and not relevant, because it's so anything, pre-Google, pre-Facebook, social, pre-everything.
I'm sure they made it all up.
That's so fun.
It's a lot of cables that connect to things. And anyway, those are 4 great recommendations. I tell you, if you have some downtime, pick them up, bits and pieces, it'll improve your life. It really will.
Yep. Great gifts too.
That's right. Good on you. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.